I wish you a very warm greetings to each and everyone present over here. I'm Dr. Sumant Kulshrestha on behalf of IAP Digital Media team. And we are very happy that today IAP Women's Cell Maharashtra State Ahmednagar branch, we have brought a wonderful topic, yoga and respiratory conditions. And we have the very eminent resource person, Dr. Satish Pathak. So without wasting time, I would hand over the stage to Dr. Dipali Hande, who would be the moderator. But my sincere request, we would be going live at the same time on YouTube. So you can share the link with others. And over to Dr. Dipali.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, all the eminent participants and all the dignitaries. Every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We are strongest when we cheer each other on. This was said by Serena Williams, and with this motto, IAP Women's Cell functions under the guidance of National Head Dr. Ruchi Varshni and IAP President Executive Dr. Sanjeev Jha. In India, we have 5 zones, and Dr. Pooja Kamre is our zonal head, that is for the West Zone. The state team of IAPWC Maharashtra is doing a tremendous work under the able leadership of our state coordinator, Dr. Suvarna Ganbir ma'am, joint coordinator, Dr. Snehal, and sub-coordinators, Dr. Uttara Mohan, Dr. Priya Karande, and Dr. Nirali Sanghvi. In Maharashtra, IAP Women's Cell has conducted many low-cost activities like CMEs, workshop, public awareness campaigns, health camps, blood donation camps in various districts since its inception, that is in 2018. We have also conducted webinars on various topics in orthopedics, neurological, pediatric, women's health, cardiopulmonary, sports, and geriatric rehabilitation. In past 1 year, IAPWC Maharashtra State and its district teams have conducted around total 103 activities. Today's webinar is on the occasion of International Yoga Day on the topic Yoga in Respiratory Condition is being conducted by IAP Women's Cell, Ahmednagar District, Maharashtra, and I, Dr. Dipali Hande, coordinator of Ahmednagar District, with Dr. Tejas Borkar and Dr. Trupti Gupta, which are the district sub-coordinators of IAPWC Ahmednagar District, welcome you all for today's webinar. We would also appreciate your feedback on our webinar. Please submit your feedback on the link provided at the end of this webinar. During this webinar, if you have any queries or questions, you can post your questions in the chat section, and we will take your questions one by one. Over to you, Dr. Tejas.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all. Now, on this occasion, I would like to share introduction of our eminent speaker, Dr. Satish Pathak. So today in this webinar, we are going to see yoga and respiratory conditions. Today's guest speaker is Dr. Satish Pathak, who is the recipient of Yoga Ratna Award and also World PhD Chakra Award. He is retired general surgeon from Government ESIS Hospital, Mulund, Mumbai in 2010. Sir is also a yoga consultant, and at present he is working as Assistant Director, Scientific Research Department, Kaivalyadham Yoga Institute, Lonavala. Sir is also Vice Chairman, Indian Yoga Association, Maharashtra branch. Sir is first to start yoga OPDs for patients in Maharashtra in ESIS Hospital, Mulund, KEM Hospital, Parel, and also R.N. Cooper Hospital in Juhu. Sir has introduced yoga for first MBBS student all over Maharashtra through the prestigious university MUHS. He is also pioneer in starting fellowship in yoga therapy course for doctors at MUHS Nasik. Sir has delivered about 1,000 lectures on yoga awareness in India and abroad, such as United States, Dubai, Mauritius, and countries explaining why this yoga is important in anatomical as well as physiological changes which are occurring in our body when we are practicing these yogic kriyas, and why we are not getting diseases when we are performing those kriyas. He has many books to his publications. Few includes Yoga Abhyas Doctori Chashmatun, which is published in Marathi. Also, Yoga Through Doctor's Eye, which is published in English. Also, he has a book known as Yoga as Therapy, Medical View, which explains what are the different indications, contraindications, limitations of yoga in each disease. As he's a renowned surgeon, he has put it a medical perspective to this yoga therapy. So we are very happy and delighted to share this webinar with you, sir. Welcome you, sir. And now I would like to hand over the proceedings to you, sir. Please, you can start with your slideshow. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for introduction. I will just share the screen first. Okay, yeah. Are you able to see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
It's visible. It is visible.
Am I audible also properly?
Yes, a little. Maybe you can raise a little bit your voice.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, better, sir. Thank you.
Okay. May I start then?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will start with the prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmain Sri Gurave Namaha, Tasmain Sri Gurave Namaha. With due respect to Swami Kovalananji, the organizers of the webinar, and all the dignitaries and all my friends. Today's topic is yoga for respiratory conditions. Now, being surgeon, I've been practicing for nearly 45 years till 2019. And I know post-operatively what are the problems we face and how we have to manage it. So this is a good topic for all the physiotherapists because they will be using it in day-to-day life. So the yoga for respiratory conditions. To start with just little bit, those who are not having any idea about the yoga, I would like to say this is 5,000-year-old science. Still, there are a lot of misconceptions about yoga. People think that, oh, yoga has to be done after retirement, going to the hilly area, but it is not like that. It is for us only, family members only. We don't pay respect to our own ancient Indian science. Western people, they understood the importance. They have picked up, they are practicing it. And that is why I always say our yoga has become foreign written and the A of America tag it has gotten. That is why it has become yoga. Now, anybody can practice yoga at any age. That is also another misconception that no, it has to be done after retirement. No, it is at any age you can practice. That's why the yogic science says, Yuva vruddhoti vruddhova, vyadhito durbalo piva, abhyasat siddhima apnoti, sarva yogeshva tandritaha. Means from the age of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, 100, at any age you can practice yoga and you can keep yourself healthy. Similarly, whether you are healthy, unhealthy, whether you are having disease, anybody can practice yoga. So there is no hard and fast rule or there is any hurdle. No, you cannot do that. No, you cannot do. Everybody can practice. If he is unhealthy, having some disease, there are some limitations that if he follows, he can get good results. But overall, anybody can practice and you get effects right from the student level, the working people, senior citizen, senior citizen, healthy people, unhealthy people. So there is no question about it. So similarly, respiratory conditions also you can practice yoga. Now, what are the common respiratory conditions which you face as a common man? First is the allergic rhinitis, deviated nasal septum, pharyngitis, bronchitis, bronchiectasis, pneumonia, pulmonary tuberculosis, carcinoma lung, interstitial lung fibrosis, and COPD. So these are the common respiratory conditions we face. Now, what are the problems faced by the physiotherapists while treating patients? Because you are also concerned for that. So, and what are the problems usually? They are because of the immobility of the patient, inability to make movements due to pain and other reason, loss of confidence, usual basal lungs getting involved. And what you find? Shallow breathing due to pain, poor oxygenation, poor lung capacity. Usually they have got bronchitis, there may be spasm. Because of the intubation, next 2 days, usually the patient has got spasm. Bronchiectasis, long term, if he is bedridden, then he may go into bronchiectasis, lobar pneumonia, pulmonary edema, depending upon the fluid balance, and interstitial lung fibrosis in post-COVID cases. So these are the respiratory conditions which you are going to face in your practice. So how can you treat them? Now just we'll think over it, how the lung get infected. It starts, the virus or bacteria enters through the nose and through the oral cavity, and then it goes to the pharynx and then larynx and then trachea and then lungs. When it is in nose, you get rhinitis, pharynx, you get sore throat. If it is in conjunctiva, this is for COVID, you get conjunctivitis, and lungs, it gets ARDS, pneumonia. So it starts entry from here, and then it goes down and goes to the lungs. Now, what are the different yogic practices you can practice to keep the respiratory disease away from you? I will just discuss first the practices. Then I will discuss how these are useful in different conditions and how we have to implement it. So we'll go step by step. So first I will explain Jalaniti. Now Jalaniti is done like this. This is a neti pot. Little lukewarm water is there and little salt is added to that. And we have adjusted the neti pot to the nose in such a way that water will flow from this reservoir to the nose and it will come out from the other side. Once you practice from one side, then you do it from the other side. This is called Jalaneti. This is very simple Kriya. Now how you are benefited. Now this is the cut section of the nose. Sagittal section of the nose is taken. You can see the one side of the nose. This is the mucosa lining the inner side of the nose. These are the turbinates and these are the sinuses. There are 2 frontal sinuses, 2 maxillary sinuses, and 2 ethmoidal sinuses. Now this mucosa is lining the inner side of the nose, and these are the 2 turbinates. This is the olfactory nerve. The ends of this olfactory nerve, they give the information of the smell. Now, when you get infection, now the rainy season has just started. So some people, they may get allergic rhinitis. So what happens? What are the symptoms? What he says? Oh, I got a running nose and my right nostril is blocked. Why it is blocked? Because of the viral infection, there is a swelling into the mucosa, waterlogging is there, and that is why mucosa nostril is blocked and he is facing problem. Now, when you are doing Jalaneti, when you are doing Jalaneti, water will go from this one nostril, it will come out from the other side. Whole of this passage will be cleaned. Whatever dust particles are there, organisms are there, bacteria are there, viruses are there, they will be thrown out. So they will not remain here. If they don't remain here, they will not grow and you will not get infection. Now, how it is useful in corona infection? Now, currently, everybody is telling that you should keep a safe distance. Why a safe distance? Because when suppose some corona patient is standing next to you and he sneezes, he will throw out lot of viral load and you inhale same air. So what happened? Those bacteria along with the dust particle, they will come and lodge in your mucosa and they will grow and then you will get running nose. Then it will go out here, then you will get sore throat. Then it will go down, you will get lung infection. But if you are doing Jalaneti every day, whatever bacteria and viruses they have come inside, before they get fixed over here, because of the Jalaneti water, they will be thrown out. If they are thrown out, chances of getting infection are getting reduced. So this benefit you get by doing Jal Neti. Now what is the another benefit? As I told you, there is a little salt added into the Neti water. Now what is the peculiarity of the salt? If you put salt in one small utensil on the table, in half an hour time, what will happen? It will become wet. Why it become wet? Because it absorbs the moisture from the atmosphere. Similarly, when you are doing Jal Neti, because of the salt into this Neti water, the water logged into this swollen mucosa will be absorbed, and mucosa will get swelling will reduce, congestion will go, and you will not have to take any decongestion medicine. So this benefit you get by doing Jal Neti. Now this is the sinus. Now this is lined by mucous membrane, and this mucous membrane secretes little water. This water cleans all these walls and throws out this dirty water through this window into the nose. Suppose this window gets closed, what will happen? This dirty water will collect here. Can you see this dirty water here? Here. And then what are the symptoms? Sinusitis. If you ask the patient what symptoms you have got, he will tell, I feel heavy over here or heavier here. Why? Because of this dirty water collected. Now, when he comes to us in the hospital, what we do? We do antral puncture. We put a tube through his and puncture this wall and drain out the fluid. That is called antral puncture. Now, moment you take out this tube, again this opening will get closed, again dirty water will collect, and patient will not get relief from sinusitis. But if you are doing Jal Neti every day, this window will never get closed and you will not get sinus problem. Another important thing, recently you must have read or seen on TV or anywhere, there is this mucosa, nasal and paranasal sinus, they secrete nitric oxide. It is a natural production of the paranasal sinuses mucosa. And nitric oxide is very potent bactericidal. It kills the bacteria and viruses. Now, if this opening doesn't get closed, the naturally produced nitric oxide will be coming into the nose along with the air, and whatever bacteria are here, they will be killed, and it will go inside along with the inhaled air, and it will also kill the bacteria into the alveoli. So this benefit you get by doing Jal Neti. Now this is a olfactory nerve. The ends of this olfactory nerve, they are just beneath the mucosa of the nose. Now how you get the information of smell? The smell, the air from the batata vada, which is being fried over there, it comes over here, and these ends, they smell it and convey the information to the brain. But if there are a lot of dust particles and bacteria and virus over this mucosa, which is covering these ends, what will happen? You will not get smell. That is why nowadays you must be knowing that if the corona patient is there, what you ask? Have you got fever, running nose, sore throat? Any loss of taste, loss of smell? Why? Because these bacteria, they are lodged over here and you get loss of smell. But if you are doing Jal Neti every day, this whole area will be cleaned and you will not get the complaint of loss of smell. So this benefit you get by doing Jal Neti. So what are the benefits? It clears the nasal passages, reduces nasal mucosa swelling, so congestion is gone. The dust particles are thrown out, so no chances of developing corona infection or viral infection. Opens up the opening of sinuses, so drains the secretion of sinus, no sinusitis, and you get the benefit of nitric oxide, which is produced by the paranasal sinuses. And it improves the smell sensation. Because we have used salt, it has got antiseptic property, that also you will get effect. And because it is little lukewarm, because of the warmness, whatever bacteria are there, they will be killed. So these are the all benefits in Jal Neti. So at present in corona infection, this is the most advocable thing that you should practice. Now, such a beautiful Jal Neti, who cannot practice? The person who has got eardrum perforation, he will not practice. Why he cannot practice? Now, suppose I am talking to you, so you are able to listen to me. Suppose I talk very loudly. What will say? Sir, just little low down. We are not deaf people. Suppose you are walking on the road and you find somebody is honking the car. So what you do first reaction? Oh, You put your hand on your ear and say, go, go, I'm giving you place. Why you put your hand? Because that high decibel sound is going to hamper, going to have the effect on tympanic membrane. You must have read in the paper after bomb blast, next day the paper, that they said that the 10 people, those who are near that bomb blast area, they become totally deaf. Now, why this happens? Now, this is the tympanic membrane. This is the tympanic membrane. And I'm talking normally, the words are hammering over here, you are getting the information. Suppose I talk loudly, because of the pressure of the air, because of those words, this tympanic membrane becomes like this. When the car honking is there, it still bends like this. And when there is a bomb blast, because of the high decibel, it perforates the drum. Now, in a day, at least once or twice, you must be facing such incidents that you have to hear a very loud noise. So your tympanic membrane will become like this. But how it becomes straight? It can only become straight when the pressure of air on this side is balanced by the pressure of air on this side. Now, this is the tympanic membrane over here. The pressure of air on this side should be balanced by the pressure of air on this side. Now, how it happens? Nature has provided a buffer system. There is a eustachian tube. It is just behind the tonsil into the oral cavity. When such thing happens, this tube opens up and air from the mouth goes inside and it comes to the inner side of the tympanic membrane, and it balances the pressure of air on this side to that side, and your tympanic membrane becomes straight, and then you don't have any problem. But if he has got a perforation, what will happen? Air will come here, it will go through this inside and it will go to the inner ear, middle ear. Now, suppose such person, he practices Jal Neti, what will happen? That Neti water from mouth, from the nose posterior part to the mouth, and through this eustachian tube, it can come to the middle ear, and he may develop ear infection. So the person who has got eardrum perforation, he will not practice Jal Neti. What he can practice? He can practice Sutra Neti or Rubber Neti. This is the oxygen catheter you must have seen in the theater. This you have to put one from this nose and take out from the posterior part of the nose, and either you take out from the mouth or you can take out from the other nostril, and then you can make the movement of it. So this is called Sutra Neti or Rubber Neti. But who cannot practice? The person who has got nasal polyp or severe deviated nasal septum, he cannot practice it, because if he has got a polyp here and he's tried to push the rubber catheter, what will happen? He will damage the mucosa and he may get bleeding. So the nasal polyp person should not practice Rubber Neti, he can practice Jal Neti. So these are the benefits of Jal Neti. Now this is to be practiced in the morning. Why? Because when you practice Jal Neti, some of this water, it can get stuck underneath this turbinate, because these turbinates are like platform in your kitchen for keeping the utensils. So after doing Jal Neti, what will happen? Some water will get lodged over here, and if you lie down immediately, what will happen? It will go into the pharynx, and from there it may go to trachea and lung, and you may get infection. So you should practice Jal Neti in the morning. If you want to practice in the evening, at least for 2 hours after that, you should not lie down on the bed. And to be on safer side, you do Jal Neti, do Kapalbhati 2 sets after Jal Neti. So whatever water was stuck, it will be thrown out. So these are the benefits of the Jal Neti, and if you practice, you can definitely keep all the infections away from you. Now coming to the next important Kriya is a Kapalabhati. Now in Kapalbhati, what we do normal inhalation and forceful exhalation. So you have to just breathe out, then breathe in, then without making chest movement, just move the lower part of the abdomen below the umbilicus inside, give a little jerk, and whatever air comes out, let it come out. Then again breathe in and then keep on continuing. So this is called Kapalbhati, normal inhalation and forceful exhalation. I will just show you once how it is to be done. I am breathing in, and then while breathing out, I am doing forceful exhalation. So like this you have to do. You can see the lower part of the abdomen. It is just little movement will be there. You can watch the movement of my hand. I am giving a gentle pressure on the lower part of the abdomen, and this is called Kapalbhati. Now, how much time you can practice? As a beginner, you can start with 10, 20 times in a single set, and similar 3 sets you can do. And as you go on increasing, practicing daily, you can go up to 100 or 120 maximum. So this is Kapalbhati. Now, what are the benefits you get by doing Kapalbhati? Before that, we'll just freshen up our little anatomy of respiratory system. It starts from the nose. This is the trachea. At the center of the chest, trachea divides into 2. Then it again branches, and ultimately these are the alveoli. There are millions of alveoli. Now these alveoli, if you take out and make a straight line, it can be of few kilometers. Inside this mucosa, there is a mucous lining which secretes 1 liter water in 24 hours, which is used to moisten the air which you are breathing in. Now these are the hair-like projections, cilia. Can you see this? Now these hair-like projections, cilia, what is the function of this? Now you are standing outside and you are breathing in air and out. Lot of dust particles are there into the atmosphere. So when you are breathing in, all those dust particles, they go in. And if they keep on going inside, in 1 year's time, our lung will become full of dirt. But this is not happening. Why? Because these dust particles, they get entangled into this cilia, hair-like projection. And because of the escalating action, they are thrown out, not allowed to go inside. So this important function is done by the cilia. Such an important lung is kept into the chest, and which is giving us the different respiratory disorders. Now this is the diaphragm which separates the chest from the abdomen. When you breathe in normally, it can come 1 centimeter down. When you breathe in heavily, it can come 7 centimeter down. More the diaphragm can come down, more the air you can breathe in. So that is why this type of arrangement is made. Now, normally how much air you are breathing in? You breathe in 500 ml air in and 500 ml air out. Suppose you breathe in forcibly, you can breathe in 3500 ml air. Suppose you breathe in forcibly and breathe out forcibly, you can breathe 4600 ml air. That is called vital capacity, and it is called tidal volume. That means normally you are just breathing 500 ml air, though your capacity is 4.5 liters. So you are using only 1/8 or 1/9 of your lung. Suppose you are breathing in normally and breathe out, your lungs never become totally empty. At least 2300 ml air is there. Suppose you breathe out heavily, still 1200 ml air is there. Means our lungs, they never become empty. And with each respiration, there is exchange of gases. Now, a person who is doing sedentary job, what he will do? He will just breathe in 500 ml air in and 500 ml air out. Now, to such a person, if you tell, go and run and catch this bus, this is last bus. If you miss it, you will have to sit at the bus stand whole night. Then what he does? He starts running. When he starts running, he feels breathless. Why he feels breathless? Because he, being a sedentary jobber, he is just breathing in 500 ml air in and 500 ml air out. So his lungs, they are only opening up to 500 ml air in and 500 ml air out. Now he's running. Demand has increased because muscles are working more, so the oxygen requirement is increased. But what alveoli, they say? We are not habituated. We can only this much work. And then to fulfill the demand, he has to breathe fast. That means he becomes breathless. So anybody when he's running, he feels breathless because if his lungs are not tuned to that, he will feel breathless. So to improve the capacity of the lung, we can do Kapalbhati. Now how it helps, we'll see. You are done normal inhalation, forceful exhalation, normal inhalation, forceful exhalation. When you are doing forceful exhalation, all the dust particles and bacteria, virus, whatever are there, they are thrown out. If they are thrown out, whole passage will become clean. So difficulty of breathing will not be there. Because the dust particles are thrown out, along with that, the organisms are also thrown out. They will not remain here. If they don't remain here, you will not get any lung infection. So this benefit you get by doing Kapalbhati. Suppose few organisms remain over here, they will grow. Now, what is the favorable atmosphere for the growth of the organism? As you see, where you find mosquitoes in the house, where you clean everything, you don't find. But you find it at the drainage pipe leaking area. Why? Because there is a favorable atmosphere. Similarly, in lungs, water and dust combination is the favorable atmosphere for the growth of the organism. Now, we have seen that doing Kapalbhati, dust particles are thrown out. So one number atom is gone. Second atom is water. In 24 hours, 1 liter water was secreted. More than 50% water is used to moisten the air which you are breathing in. Remaining water, if it combines with the dust particle, it will form the favorable atmosphere. But when you are doing Kapalbhati and Ujjayi, because of that, there is a heat generation. And because of the heat generation, whatever excess water was remaining, it will be evaporated. So 2 number atom will not be there and favorable atmosphere will not be there. Organisms will not grow. So this benefit you get by doing Kapalbhati. What more benefit you get? Now these alveoli, they are elastic. With each contraction and relaxation, they open and close. But when they will open and close? When they are elastic. Now, if you want to inflate a balloon, you will put it to the air pump. And do you put full pump at a time? You put half pump. Why? Because by putting half pump, this balloon will slowly distend and you will get a good big balloon. Similarly, or if you put full pump, what will happen? It will burst open. Similarly, when you are doing Kapalbhati, when you are doing forceful exhalation, the alveoli is closed. And while you are doing normal inhalation, slowly it opens up. The elasticity is maintained. If the elasticity is maintained, whenever you are running, you want to breathe in more air, these alveoli, they will open up. You will be able to breathe in more air and you will not feel breathless. So this benefit you get by doing Kapalbhati. Now one more benefit. Suppose you start rubbing on your hand like this. What happens? After some time it becomes red. The circulation increases over there. Similarly, when you are doing forceful exhalation, because of the rubbing, the blood circulation to this mucosa will increase. Now this blood just underneath the mucosa, what it contains? RBC and WBC. We are concerned with the WBC. What is the function of WBC? It kills the bacteria. How it kills? Now suppose this is a WBC and this is the organism. What will do? It will engulf the bacteria and kill it. That is called phagocytic action. So by doing Kapalbhati, because of the forceful exhalation rubbing, the blood supply will improve. So whatever organisms are there, they will be killed. So you will not get any lung infection. So these are the benefits of Kapalbhati. There are few more, but I'll skip it just to for the time's constraint. But I'm just enlisted all this you can see there. These are about 12 to 13 benefits you can get by doing Kapalbhati. Who cannot do this Kapalbhati? The one who has got a high blood pressure, who has got a heart disease, who has got abdominal hernia, who has got a major abdominal surgery, who has got a increased pressure into eyes, that is called glaucoma, gastric ulcer, complicated peptic ulcer, pregnancy. They will not do this forceful exhalation Kapalbhati. What they can do? They can practice Kapalbhati without forceful exhalation. Means when you are exhaling, you will not give the push to the lower abdomen. It will be gentle inhalation and exhalation. This they can practice and they can get some result. So this Kapalbhati will definitely help to kill the organisms, whatever they are entered along the nasal passage to the pharynx and then to the trachea and to the alveoli, they will be killed. So chances of getting lung infection can be reduced. So these are the benefits of Kapalbhati. Now this should be practiced every day morning. If you're a beginner, you can start with 20 strokes in a set. So such 3 sets you should practice. And slowly you can go up to 120 maximum. This should be done as per the individual capacity. You should not force yourself. And after, in between 2 sets, you should take 5 to 10 normal breathing. And then again you do second set, then third set, and then you relax for 5 minutes. So this is importance of Kapalbhati. And if you practice every day, you will definitely keep lung well trained and alert. Whenever you want to work more, they will definitely help you and they will not make you breathless. Now next is the Ujjayi. Ujjayi is a friction breathing. I'll just show you how it is to be done. There are 2 types. One type is there to breathe in and then close the right nostril and breathe out with the left. And second type is breathing in and out with the both nostril. And at the breathing in, there is a friction at the glottis. You have to constrict the vocal cords. So I'll just show you the first type. Here, I'm breathing in. This is the first type. And the second type, breathing with the both nostril. This is called Ujjayi. Now, what benefit you get by doing Ujjayi? Now, I have told you by doing Kapalbhati, the air may not be able to reach at the basal lung alveoli, the lowest part of the alveoli. And you must be experiencing when you are going to treat a patient in the post-operative section, they may develop basal lobar pneumonia. Why? Because the lower part of the lung, it gets affected. Now, Ujjayi will help because you are constricting glottis. That's why I'm giving you the example. Suppose you are doing gardening. You are watering the plants into the garden. And suppose one plant is far away and you cannot reach over there. What do? You pinch the water tube and the water goes up to there. Similarly, the distant alveoli where air is not reaching because of the Kapalbhati, if you pinch means constrict the vocal cord, the air will reach up to those basal alveoli and it will help to keep them elastic. So this benefit you get by doing Ujjayi. Now because of Ujjayi, there is a lot of heat generation. So whatever organisms are there in the passage, they will be killed. Then the sinus opening will not get closed, so you will not get sinusitis. Then when you are practicing Kapalbhati and Ujjayi, you are concentrating on counting because we are telling you count, do Kapalbhati for 20 times or 30 times or 50 times or 60 times. So what you are doing? You are counting it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you are counting, you are concentrating on counting. And when you are concentrating on counting, your external thoughts are reduced. And if your external thoughts are reduced, your blood pressure comes to normal and then you will not get heart attack. In Western countries, Ujjayi is used as a cardiac breathing. Now remaining is asthma. Asthmatic patient from a distance, you can identify that he has got asthma. Why? Because when he's breathing, the wheezing sound comes. Like this sound comes. Why it comes? Because in asthmatic patient, the normal aperture of the bronchus should be of this size. But in asthmatic patient, because of the swelling, it has become such a small. Now when he's breathing in, because of the atmospheric pressure, air passes through this small opening. But when he's breathing out, that air hasn't got pressure, and that is why he has to struggle, and that is why wheezing sound comes. But if you practice Ujjayi every day, this swelling will go, and you will not have to take any medicines for asthma. So these benefits you get by doing Ujjayi. One more benefit you get is you get rid of snoring. Now, I have tested effect of Ujjayi on 300 people. Now everybody, the non-medical people also, they are knowing now what is pulse oximeter. With that help, you measure the oxygen level. Normal oxygen level in human being is 100%. I have tested in about 300 people. In normal, it was 97, 98. After 3 months of practices of Ujjayi and yoga, it became 99, 100%. In heart attack patient, it was 95, 96. After 3 months, it became 98%. And in bronchial asthma patient, it was 85%. After 3 months, it became 96%. So this 11% rise in the oxygen level, that gives you health. Because all the organs in your body, they require 100% oxygen to run the function properly. Now next is the breath awareness. Now what is this breath awareness? Means just watch the breath. What you have to do? You have to just close your eyes and watch how the breath is going and coming. You don't have to alter the speed. You don't have to check whether it is coming slow, whether it is going, whatever speed it is coming, just observe it. You be just an observer. And when you become observer, slowly, because you are concentrating on breath, how it is coming and how it is going, your thought process comes down. If your thought process comes down, sympathetic activity is reduced, parasympathetic activity increases, and slowly your mind becomes cool, pulse rate becomes normal, blood pressure becomes normal. So this is breath awareness. Then I'm going to talk on Kriya Yoga. In Kriya Yoga, there's Anulom Vilom, Omkar, and Gayatri. These three comprises the Kriya Yoga. Anulom Vilom, it helps proper channelization of the energy like a water canal from the main reservoir. Omkar is a proper supply of energy to all parts of the body as per need. As you see the main reservoir, the water comes to the village, and from there it is distributed to each and every farm. Similarly, this is the proper supply of energy to all parts of the body. And Gayatri protects the energy due to the rhythmic breathing. One which protects pran is Gayatri. Now, those who are of different religion than Hindu, they can practice instead of Omkar, Amen or Amen. And instead of Gayatri, they can practice similar own religion mantra in the same pattern. Then coming to the Dhyan, when you concentrate on each and every part of the body, healing starts automatically. How it happens? Because nature has given us the human body and it is also given the healing power. But you have to activate that healing power. And this is possible by practicing Dhyan. And it will help to develop the self-confidence and also it will increase the positive thinking. Now, Omkar. Omkar, how it is to be done? I will just show you first. You have to breathe in, breathe out first, then breathe in, and then you have to pronounce O. Now, when you are pronouncing Omkar, you say O and M. So when you say O, your both lips are apart. When you say M, your both lips get joined. So just I am showing you how the Omkar is to be pronounced and how the lip position I am showing it with the hand. See, I am breathing in now. This is Omkar. Now, what benefit you get by doing Omkar? Now you are listening to the lecture. You must be thinking, oh, 7 o'clock it will get over. Then I have to go to market. I have to purchase this. Recently, our city has been unlocked and now the shops are opening in the evening also. So I would like to go to shop. I would like to get the vegetables. Somebody might be thinking, I have not purchased so many stationeries and this, so I will go and get it. So different thoughts must be coming to your mind. So science says that you cannot keep your mind thoughtless for more than 6 seconds. If you are awake for 16 hours, you can maximum 10% can make the mind thoughtless. That means hardly 1.5 hours. But otherwise, you are always thinking of something. And when you are thinking of something, when thought process is going on, the problem occurs. You must be knowing that cardiogram is done. Similarly, encephalogram is done for the brain. When encephalogram was done, it was seen when you are keeping your mind thoughtless, the belief system is activated, healing system starts functioning, means body mobilizes its resources in such a way that you get well without any problem. And those time alpha waves are generated. Now to activate this, we have to practice Omkar. What is this belief system and healing system? It has got no place in allopathy. Suppose a person, common man, he falls sick. What he does? He goes to his regular family doctor. Suppose he is not there. He has gone out of station. So what he does? He goes to the next doctor. But he is not happy. He goes, takes medicine. After 4 or 5 days, he finds that his doctor has come back. He goes, oh, doctor, good, you have come back. I was not well. He said, why? What happened? Oh, I was not well. You are not there. I went to that next doctor, but I'm not happy. Now you have come. I will become all right. This is belief, and this belief system starts functioning. So this helps to keep yourself healthy. If you type name Herbert Bunsen on Google, you will find he is a scientist. He has done research on Omkar, and he came to the conclusion, Omkar a day, keep the doctor away. Gayatri, the way you think you become. जैसे आप सोचते हो वैसे आप बनते हो. किसी को मैंने कहा क्या तुम अमिताभ बच्चन के जैसे दिखते हो, वो तुरंत खड़ा हो जाएगा, अमिताभ बच्चन के डायलॉग मारेगा, उसको लगेगा मैं अमिताभ बच्चन हो गया. उसी प्रकार यदि मैं सूर्यदेव की प्रार्थना करे हो, कहेगा सूर्यदेव मुझे तेरे जैसा तेज मिले, मेरी बुद्धि तेरे जैसी प्रगल्भ हो, तो वैसी प्रक्रिया बनते. इसमें जात पात का धर्म का संबंध नहीं है, ये तेज की उपासना है. नाउ हाउ दिस हैज टू बी प्रोनाउंस? दिस इज द गायत्री मंत्र. ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्. Now here you can see there is one line above here and there is line below here. So what it means? When it is here, you have to lift this word. When it is below, you have to stretch this word. Now Om Bhurvasva you have to say once and then this you have to say 10 times. I will just show you how to chant. Om Bhurvasva Tatsavitur Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo. There's a line below yo. So I said Dhiyo. I have prolonged the yo. Yo na. There's a line above na. So I said yo na. Prachodayat. Om Tatsa Viturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Like them you have to chant. Then for respiratory condition, Surya Bhedan, that is you have to breathe in from the right and breathe out from the left. Breathe in from the right, breathe out from the left. Again breathe in from the right, breathe out from the left. Then about the Anulom Vilom. Anulom Vilom, you have to practice it like this. You have to put your hand like this, put your right thumb on the right nostril and close the right nostril and then breathe in with the left. Once you breathe in with the left, you have to close the left nostril with this finger. So right has automatically open. Then you breathe out for the right. After you complete the breathing out, you breathe in from the same. Then close right, breathe out from the left. Now again breathe in from the left. Then close left and breathe out from the right. So this is the Anulom Vilom. While in Surya Bhedan, you have to just breathe in from the right and breathe out from the left. Then Simha Mudra, this is you have to breathe in and then while breathing out, you have to wide open your mouth and wide open your eyes and concentrate at the center of the forehead. I will just show you once. Because you are stretching of these muscles, the blood supply of this part improves. The water organisms are there in this area, pharynx and tonsil, they will be killed. Then coming to the Bhramari, Bhramari you have to practice, you have to be humming sound, that is, you have to breathe in and when you are breathing out, you have to close your mouth and press the tongue against the palate and breathe out with the humming sound. I will just show you once. This is Bhramari. So this will help to improve the respiratory conditions. Now, what is the yoga for respiratory conditions? So for the care of the nose, you will do Jalniti, Kapalbhati as per capacity. Care of the pharynx, Ujjayi 5 rounds, Bhramari 10 rounds, Surya Bhedan 10 rounds, and Simha Mudra 3 times. And then care of the lung, Kapalbhati as per the capacity. Now keeping mind healthy and sound, breath awareness and Kriya Yoga, English, Anulom Vilom 10 rounds, Onkar 10 rounds, Gayatri 10 rounds, and then meditation with eye closure technique for about 10 to 15 minutes. So this will help to improve your condition and you will get rid of the diseases. Now what are the yoga practices? Some asanas also. It will help to improve the intercostal muscles elasticity on which your inhalation and exhalation is dependent. So Ardha Halasan, crocodile poses, Bhujangasan, Naukasan, Shalabhasan, Dhanurasan, Vakrasan, Gomukhasan, Tadasan, Parvatasan, side bending Chakrasan in standing. These will help to improve the intercostal muscles elasticity. So when you are breathing in, and this is more important because these patients post-operatively, because of the tiredness or because of the pain, the intercostal muscles are not contracting and their respiration is very shallow. So in those cases, you can use these asanas. Yoga improves the immunity, one at local, that means at nose, nasal mucosa, pharynx and lungs, and systemic at a general level. We have done the research in Kavaldham, and we have given yoga practices to the industrial workers, and we found that the pro-inflammatory cytokines has reduced, anti-inflammatory cytokines are increased, and the rate of infection those people are getting, it has reduced. So this definitely helps to improve the immunity. Now, how yoga can be used in respiratory conditions? First is preventive, curative, adjuvant, and palliative. Now, which is the preventive, curative? We'll see one by one. Now, in acute condition, in any condition, if it is acute, only allopathy will work. Swami Kolananji has said, every pathy has got its limitation. Similarly, yoga too. And that is acute conditions, only allopathy will work. like acute bronchitis, status asthmaticus, pleurisy, pleural effusion, pneumothorax. Now, preventive where it can be allergic rhinitis, pharyngitis, tonsillitis, bronchitis, and asthma. If you are practicing this yoga regularly, you will not get infection. One of my friend, where I used to go to give lectures at so many places. So once I went to one place, one of my classmates was there, and he came to receive me because we were going to meet after a long time. So he came to meet me, received me. He was there with me for whole day, and he was having running nose and sneezing and all that. So what is this? All the time you are having running nose? He said, no, the weather has changed. No? That's why I got a running nose. I said, okay, you take some medicine. Then I left. I came back. Another about 7-8 months. Again, I was invited there by some other institute. So I went there. So I just informed him, I'm coming to your city. So he again came and met me. Again, that time when he came, again he was having sneezing and running nose and all that. So I just jokingly said, what, every time you are having running nose, what is this going on? He said, no, I get this rhinitis only twice a year. But once it comes, it stays for 6 months. Otherwise, I don't have any problem. Then I told him, you practice this. And he started practicing Kapalbhati and Ujjayi and Jalneti. And now, since then, he never had any allergic rhinitis. So if you practice yoga regularly, it acts as a preventive measure. So all these will be taken care of: allergic rhinitis, pharyngitis, tonsillitis, bronchitis, and asthma. They will be taken care of. Curative: allergic rhinitis. Suppose you get allergic rhinitis, it will be cured by yogic practices. Because as such, there is a saying that if you take medicine for allergic rhinitis, you will be all right in 7 days. And if you don't take any medicine, you will be all right in a week's time. So if you take or don't take, doesn't matter. If only it becomes severe and goes to the pharynx and lungs, then it is a problematic. But if it is only limited to the nose, you don't have to worry. So this can be cured by allergic curative, by yoga. Pharyngitis, tonsillitis, bronchitis, asthma. Once the acuteness of bronchitis and asthma is gone, patient is in status asthmaticus. He is given treatment, he has recovered, and now he has got a chronic asthma. He can be cured by giving yogic treatment. If it is a recent origin, he may get totally cured, or if it is a long standing, at least he can reduce his frequency of acute attack and medicinal dose. Adjuvant: in chronic bronchitis, asthma, bronchiectasis, pulmonary tuberculosis, and post-COVID lung fibrosis. There, the yoga will act as an adjuvant. And palliative may be difficult to implement in terminally ill patient or bedridden patient. So better to start the treatment early. And nowadays, you must be knowing that palliative care starts from the admission of the hospital. Now, what are the basic principles of that? Improving the blood circulation and oxygenation of the part of the body, building up the confidence, and improving the level of pain perception. Now, pain perception, it differs with individual to individual. You must have noticed, suppose a small kid, they are brought for vaccination. So one child will come and stand, okay, give me injection. He will stand without any problem. And another child, 4 people will hold him, bring him, put him on the table, and 3 people will still put hands on his body, and still he will make movement, and he will not allow the doctor to give injection. Why? Doctor is same, needle is same, injection quantity is same, but why there is difference? Because this is pain perception. Now this depends upon your mental setup. And for that, if you practice yoga, meditation, the pain perception can improve. The pain perception improves, tolerance improves, and you will not have much pain problem. Now, palliation can be divided immediately after diagnosis of the patient. Now, this is for you people. You can practice it. You can do the experiment. Because when patient is diagnosed as a case of some major disease and he has to undergo major surgery, he is half dead there. And he is psychologically upset. So if you start giving, so usually major surgery, at least 2-3 weeks before it is planned, 2 weeks at least. So if you start giving him yoga practices from the day it has been diagnosed and decided for major surgery after 15 days, you will find that the improvement in the respiratory and cardiovascular system and mind setup also. So he will fare better during operation surgery. He will come out of anesthesia without any problem, and healing will be better. His recovery period will be very fast, and he will be going home pretty early. Now, after main treatment is over, whether patient is ambulatory or non-ambulatory, it will help to improve and have a fast and good recovery, and convalescent period will be not stormy. Non-ambulatory, because the physical level making him unable to perform normal activity. Usually you'll find that old people, those who are there for in the bed for long time, they always try to gain sympathy. So they will not do anything. Because they are not doing anything, they are losing the elasticity of the muscles and body. So because their elasticity is gone, they are rigid. So they are again not doing anything, and they become more dependent. And their loses the interest in the life, and the psychosomatic changes are there. And this is a vicious circle. Somewhere you have to break it. This can be done by doing yogic practices. Now, yoga management in respiratory conditions, the aims will be improve lung capacity, flexibility of the body, and mental status. So preoperative, the day you are diagnosed, you start giving him yoga practices, counseling, and meditation. Then preoperative, improve the mental status, boost the morale, so it will help to face the consequences of the major illness of surgery. Results will be better. Then make him physically fit, better, flexible. So you'll get less pain, will be able to have body movements comfortably, will get the feeling of well-being soon, and all systems will work properly. Learning yoga preoperatively will make it easy to practice yoga postoperatively when it is actually needed and it is beneficial. But because of the postoperative period, because of the pain, he may not do it. But if he has been taught in advance before preoperative time, then he must have understood the importance of the yoga, and then he will do it properly postoperatively, and the recovery will be fast. Postoperative, mainly it is improving the flexibility, improving the lung capacity, making stable at mind, and introduce positive feeling. So what you will give in a non-ambulatory, pranadharana, that is breath awareness, hand and leg stretching, ardha halasana means just raising the leg, lying on the bed only, just raise the one leg 30 degree, 45 degree, then crocodile poses, ardha bhujangasana, kapalbhati light as per capacity, ujjayi brahmari, then kriya yoga and meditation, Kaivaladham tradition. So this will help to improve his general condition in the bed. Especially, I would like to talk to you about post-COVID interstitial lung fibrosis. Now, we are going to face many more patients, and they might come to you for physiotherapy. So there, if you give them breath awareness, then hand and leg stretching, ardha halasana, crocodile poses, ardha bhujangasana, kapalbhati light as per capacity. But remember that it should be only after 2 months of the post-COVID. Don't give this practice to the patient who is discharged yesterday from the hospital, because in lung damage, it takes at least 2 months to start the healing, complete the healing process. So if you start giving him Kapalbhati just before that, the bonds which are developing, healing bonds developing between these, they may break and they may not heal properly. So give it only after 2 months of the discharge. Then you can give him Ujjayi Brahmari. It will improve the nitric oxide, so it will help to improve because it has got a vasodilatation effect, so it will reduce the pulmonary hypertension. Kriya Yoga, you have to give more concentration on Anulom Vilom, Omkar and meditation. So that will help him to improve slowly at physical as well as mental level. Then tips for physiotherapist on duty. This is just out of the respiratory system, just general observation. If you are going to the hospital every day, you don't know whether you are coming in contact with the corona patient. Oiling the nostril from the inside before leaving the home. Put your finger into the coconut oil and just put both nostrils inside and oil the nose. Then take steam every day. Saline gargles twice a day. Drink warm water as possible. Do not touch face. Wearing mask properly, covering the nose. Use face shield if you are in the close vicinity of the corona patient. Wash your hands frequently and keep distance between you and the patient or his relatives. Then those who are working in the COVID ward, After coming home, take steam in both nostrils and also oral cavity. Now about this steam, don't take it for long time, like 10, 15 minutes. You just take for 3, 4 minutes. That is sufficient, because nowadays they have come out with the theory that if you take it for a long time, you may develop atrophy of the nasal mucosa. Then saline gargles, then taking bath after coming home after duty, and send all the clothes for washing. Whatever clothes you are wearing in the hospital, don't put it in the wardrobe when you come home. Perform Jal Niti every day. Once you come home, take steam, saline gargles, and perform Jal Niti. Do Brahmari 20 rounds, Kapalbhati 2 rounds, and meditation if possible. This will help you to keep away from the corona. Then few other tips for the same general. Take half teaspoon of haldi powder in the morning with lukewarm water to improve the immunity. Lemon juice, ginger, then take more liquids. Do not take heavy meals. Have a good sleep in the night and take appropriate rest. Now, all are facing the problem of corona and everybody is panicky. And we don't know what will happen. But now people have understood the importance of the yoga, and everywhere all over the world, people are following yoga to get rid of all this pandemic. Now, this has been told 400 years ago by Kabir Surdas. Though the science is 5,000-year-old yogic science, Kabir Surdas has said 400 years ago what is going to happen after 400 years. And that was, he said, Re mana dhiraja kyau na dhare, Re mana dhiraja kyau na dhare, सवत 2000 के बाद योग ऐसा योग परे 2000 साल के बाद ऐसा समय आने वाला है कैसा पूर्व पश्चिम दक्षिण उत्तर 14 काल फिरे सर के ऊपर मृत्यु मंडल रहेगा 25-30 उम्र के लोग डायबिटीज ब्लड प्रेशर हार्ट अटैक इसके वजह से मरेंगे सावधान सुनने वाला हैरान हो गया उसको लगा दिया ऐसा होगा तो पृथ्वी के ऊपर हाहाकार मच जाएगा कभी सूरदास बेचारे अंधे थे लेकिन उनको 400 साल के बाद क्या होना तो उसका पता था उन्होंने कहा काल व्याल से वही बचेगा जो सोहम का ध्यान करेगा सांस की रफ्तार को नियंत्रित करेगा ये है हरि की लीला टाले नहीं टले ये तो होने वाला है लेकिन यदि हमें उससे बचना है तो हमें सांस की गति को नियंत्रित करना है सो दिस इज द साइंस ऑफ कंट्रोलिंग ब्रीथ and he has depicted 400 years ago that what is going to happen after 400 years that people will die at the age of 25 to 30 and death toll will increase like anything but those people who will practice yoga those who will try to develop control on their breath they will be only saved and this is coming true now people are following yoga so I hope that you also follow as a physiotherapist you are working hard our advanced modern medicine, allopathy, what is done? They have added the days to the life. Because of the modern treatment, we are able to save the people. So it has added the days to the life. But there is no life to those days. They have got to live with the complications and the life has become miserable. Sometimes they think, why I'm not dying? So by giving them good physiotherapy, good yogic practices, add life to those days by teaching them yoga practices and make them cheerful. I wish you all the best in your future career as a physiotherapist to give the cheerful life to all your patients. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you, sir. It was a really great session. Now there are a few questions. Can I ask them, sir?
Yeah. I'll just show you 1 minute. These are my books. This is the book Yoga Abhyas Dr. Chashmatun. This is in Marathi. In this, I have given explanation of all yogic kriyas, what anatomical and physiological changes occur in our body. That's why you don't get any disease. Now, just now, I explained you Jalneti, Kapalbhati, Ujjayi. Similarly, other kriyas like Vaman Dhauti, then Agnisar, Udyan, that also, and asanas that I explained in that book. This is in Marathi, this is in English. And this is a third book, which is Yoga as a Therapy. So, which patient you can give yoga, which patient you cannot give yoga, that I explained with all, this is system-wise, with the symptoms of the diseases, where which part of the body it is affecting, what are the signs, symptoms, investigations, and what is the, in short, allopathic treatment, and whether can we give yogic treatment, if yes, what, if not, what to do. So these are my 3 books. Thank you very much. Yes, you may go ahead with the question.
Yes, sir. So we have first question that Priyanka wants to know the difference between Anulom Vilom and the first style of Ujjayi breath.
First, type. Okay. See, Anulom Vilom, once again I will describe. You have to make your position
Ujjayi
like
breath.
this. Ujjayi, yeah. So you have to make your position like this. Then put your right thumb on the right nostril. And now see, the left finger is standing over here. Now I'm just changing the position. What has happened? Left has closed, right has opened. Just do it for 5-10 times so you'll get acquainted with this movement. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I'm closing the right nostril and breathing in with the left nostril. So see, I totally breathe in with left, then I'm closing the left, then my right nostril is open. Now I'm breathing out with the right. Once I breathe out completely, then I breathe in from the right only. Then I'm closing right, breathing out with the left. When I complete the breathing out, then I am again breathing in from the left and then closing left and breathing out with the right. So when you breathe in again from the left, that is second round. Now here what you are doing, you are starting the breathing with breathing in from the left nostril and breathing out from the right. While in Ujjayi, you are breathing in from the both nostril and then only breathing out from the left nostril. Or the second type I told, you are just breathing in with the both and breathing out with the both. Any doubt?
Sir, we have one more question. What is the correct method to do Anulom Vilom?
I just shown you, na?
Yes, sir. So I think that covers it all. And sir, last question. What will be the best time to do yoga?
Okay. Now, this is a very good question because all the things we have heard, but when to do, I have not told you. So the best time is to do it in the morning at 4:30 a.m. That is called Brahma Muhurta. लेकिन बहुत लोगों को 4:30 कब बजते हो पता ही नहीं चलता होगा. So you do it when you get up in the morning. You should be having empty stomach. So suppose you get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that brush yourself, clear your bowels by going toilet, and then you start practicing yoga. Do it for whatever time you have got, half an hour. Then after half an hour, you can take your breakfast. Suppose you don't get morning time. Then suppose you say that I got to go to duty at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I don't have time. Okay. So when you come home, suppose your duty gets over by 4 o'clock, but you take your lunch at 1 o'clock. So after that 5 hours, if you have taken light lunch, means working lunch, then you can practice yoga after 4 hours. If you have taken heavy meal, then at least 6 hours you should not practice yoga. The stomach should be empty. Then you can practice. So suppose you are practicing in the evening at 6 o'clock, you can practice yoga. Then after half an hour, you can take your breakfast, means light lunch or dinner. Then during menses, ladies should not practice yoga. If you are very much tired, you should not practice yoga. If you are very ill, then that's why I said non-ambulatory and ambulatory patient. I have categorized the thing. So very minor thing you can give, which they can practice by lying down on the bed also.
Yes, sir. It was really a wonderful session. Sir has explained all the anatomically, physiologically, all the aspects of the respiratory yoga wonderfully. And he has summarized almost all the points which we should be following during COVID as well as in other conditions as well. And also when to do yoga, when not to do yoga. So it was really great pleasure, sir, here that we could gain such a knowledge. And now I would like to request Dr. Trupti Gupta, who is Sub-Coordinator, Ahmednagar District, IAPWC, to proceed with vote of thanks. Dr. Trupti, over to you. Dr. Trupti, please unmute.
Good evening all. Myself Dr. Trupti Gupta, District Sub-Coordinator, IPWC Ahmednagar. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this occasion. I thank Dr. Rajiv Jha, President IIP, for his constant support. I would like to thank Dr. Ruchi Varshne ma'am for her guidance and encouragement. My gratitude to Dr. Satish Pathak for delivering the talk on occasion of International Yoga Day. Indeed, it was a wonderful webinar and I am sure everyone will be benefited by it. Thank you, sir. I extend my vote of thanks to Dr. Puja Kamde, West Zone Head, IPWC. Thank you, ma'am. Special thanks to our IPWC State Committee led by Dr. Suvarna Ganveer, ma'am. Ma'am, you are our guiding light and motivation. Also, we would like to thank Dr. Snehal Patel, Joint Coordinator IPWC Maharashtra, and State Sub-Coordinator IPWC Ahmednagar, for delivering the talk on occasion of International Yoga Day. Indeed, it was a wonderful webinar. I thank all participants for giving your valuable time and encouragement. Also, we would like to thank our technical support for today's webinar. Last but not the least, I thank all participants for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Can we hear Dr. Trupti?
Yeah, I think here in Ahmednagar, heavy rains are going on. So maybe there is a connectivity problem. Okay. So at the end, I would like to thank all the participants for giving your valuable time. And I hope that we will carry this knowledge with us during our day-to-day practice. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining.
So thank you so much and congratulations IAPWC for conducting such a wonderful session. I am indeed elated and it has been really insightful session, Dr. Satish. Has been a great learning. And I request all the participants to subscribe to IAP India YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. These are all digital media handles where they can get all the information with respect to such further webinars. So thank you so much and congratulations. And